Imagine this. You're on a ship, sailing through the calm, blue waters of the Atlantic Ocean. The sun is shining, the breeze is gentle, and everything seems perfect. But then, something changes. The sky darkens, the waves grow restless. Your compass starts spinning wildly, as if it's lost its mind. And before you know it, you're in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle. A place where the rules of reality don't seem to apply. A place where ships vanish, planes disappear, and people are never seen again. Today, we're diving into one of the greatest mysteries of our time, the Bermuda Triangle. And we're doing it in one shot. No cuts, no breaks, just you, me, and the chilling stories that have haunted this region for centuries. But before we begin, let me ask you this. Do you believe in the unknown? In things that science can't explain? Because by the end of this video, you might just question everything you thought you knew. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, spans roughly 500,000 square miles of ocean. But its size isn't what makes it terrifying, it's the stories. Stories that date back centuries, to a time when sailors whispered of cursed waters and sea monsters lurking beneath the waves. One of the earliest accounts comes from Christopher Columbus himself, in 1492, as he sailed through the Triangle. He reported strange lights in the sky and a malfunctioning compass. He described the lights as a great flame of fire that rose from the sea and disappeared into the night. His crew was terrified, convinced they were witnessing something supernatural. Was it a sign of something otherworldly, or just a navigational glitch? We may never know. But Columbus wasn't the last to experience the Triangle's eerie phenomena. In fact, he was just the beginning. Over the centuries, sailors have reported bizarre occurrences in the Triangle. Compasses spinning out of control, strange glowing lights beneath the water, and sudden, violent storms that appear out of nowhere. These stories were passed down as warnings. Stay away from the Devil's Triangle, or risk never returning. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the Bermuda Triangle had earned its reputation as a graveyard for ships and planes. One of the most famous cases is Flight 19, a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy bombers that vanished in 1945 during a routine training mission. The last words heard from the lead pilot were chilling. "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, not white." And then, silence. Despite one of the largest search missions in history, no wreckage or bodies were ever found. But here's the twist. A rescue plane sent to search for Flight 19 also disappeared without a trace. It's as if the Triangle swallowed them whole. But Flight 19 wasn't an isolated incident. Over the years, dozens of ships and planes have vanished under similar, unexplainable circumstances. Take the SS Marine Sulphur Queen, a tanker carrying molten sulfur. In 1963, it vanished without a single distress call. The Coast Guard found only a few life preservers and a single piece of debris. No crew, no wreckage, just gone. Then there's the Witchcraft, a luxury yacht that disappeared in 1967. The owner had called the Coast Guard just an hour before, reporting that the yacht had hit something but was still seaworthy. When rescuers arrived, the Witchcraft was nowhere to be found. No wreckage, no clues, just an empty stretch of ocean. So, what's really going on in the Bermuda Triangle? Over the years, experts and conspiracy theorists alike have proposed countless explanations. Some say it's alien activity, that the Triangle is a hotspot for UFOs and extraterrestrial abductions. Others believe it's the work of Atlantis, the lost city said to lie beneath the ocean, using its advanced technology to disrupt ships and planes. Some even claim that the Triangle is a portal to another dimension, a place where time and space warp, pulling unsuspecting travelers into the unknown. And then there are the more scientific theories. methane gas eruptions from the ocean floor, which could create massive bubbles that sink ships, or rogue waves, towering walls of water that appear without warning and can easily capsize even the largest vessels. There's also the theory of magnetic anomalies, areas where the Earth's magnetic field is so distorted that compasses go haywire, leading pilots and sailors astray. But here's the thing, none of these theories fully explain the sheer number of disappearances. So, the mystery remains. Not everyone who enters the Bermuda Triangle disappears. Some come back, but what they describe is just as chilling. Take Bruce Gernon, a pilot who claims he flew through a mysterious cloud tunnel in 1970. He says his plane was transported hundreds of miles in an instant, a phenomenon he calls the electronic fog. Bruce described the fog as a swirling, glowing mass that surrounded his plane. His instruments malfunctioned, and he felt a strange sensation, as if time itself had slowed down when he emerged from the fog. He was hundreds of miles off course, but he had no explanation for how he got there. Then there are the sailors who swear they've seen strange lights, heard unexplained noises, or felt an overwhelming sense of dread as they passed through the triangle. One sailor reported seeing a glowing, greenish light beneath the water, moving faster than any known sea creature. Another described hearing a low, humming sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Are these just tricks of the mind, or is there something more sinister at play? Despite decades of research, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our time. Is it a natural phenomenon, a paranormal hotspot, or something we can't even begin to understand? One thing's for sure, the Triangle isn't just a story, it's a warning, a reminder that, even in our modern world, there are still places where the unknown reigns supreme. So, the next time you hear about a ship or plane disappearing without a trace, remember the Bermuda Triangle, because in this vast, mysterious world, some secrets are better left unsolved. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Bermuda Triangle, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and let me know in the comments. Do you think the triangle is a natural phenomenon, or is there something more sinister at work? Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Imagine this. You're standing on the shores of Loch Ness, the water calm and still, the mist hanging low over the surface. You're here for the view, the peace, the quiet. But then, you see it, a ripple in the water, a dark shape moving just beneath the surface. Your heart skips a beat. Could it be Nessie, the Lochness Monster, a creature that has fascinated, terrified, and baffled the world for centuries? Is it a myth, a hoax, or could it be real? Tonight, we're diving deep into the chilling history, the spine-tingling sightings, and the unanswered questions surrounding the Loch Ness Monster. And we're doing it in one shot. No cuts, no breaks. Just you, me, and the mystery of the deep. But before we begin, let me ask you this. Do you believe in Nessie? Or maybe you've heard stories about her? Tell me in the comments below, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself questioning what lies beneath the surface of Loch Ness. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster dates back over 1,000 years, but its modern fame began in 1933. That's when a couple driving along the loch claimed to see a massive creature crossing the road and disappearing into the water. The story made headlines, and suddenly, the world was captivated by the idea of a monster lurking in the depths of Loch Ness. But the roots of the legend go much deeper. In fact, the first recorded sighting dates back to 565 AD, when Saint Columba, an Irish monk, reportedly encountered a water beast in the loch. According to the story, the creature attacked a man swimming in the water, but Columba commanded it to retreat, and it obeyed. Was this the first encounter with Nessie, or just a tall tale passed down through the ages? Loch Ness is a massive body of water, 23 miles long, over 700 feet deep, and filled with dark, peaty water that makes it nearly impossible to see more than a few feet below the surface. It's the perfect hiding place for a creature that doesn't want to be found. But is there really something down there? Or is it all just a product of our imagination? Over the years, there have been hundreds of reported sightings of the Lochness Monster. Some are blurry photos, others are detailed accounts from credible witnesses. Let me tell you about some of the most famous ones. The most iconic image of Nessie is the so-called surgeon's photograph. Taken in 1934 by a London doctor named Robert Wilson, it shows a long-necked creature rising out of the water, and for decades it was considered the best evidence of Nessie's existence. But in 1994, it was revealed to be a hoax, a toy submarine with a sculpted head attached. Still, the photo remains one of the most famous images in cryptozoology. Then there's the story of Tim Dinsdale, an amateur investigator who filmed what he claimed was Nessie in 1960. His footage shows a dark hump moving through the water, and while skeptics argue it could be a boat or a log, Dinsdale swore it was the real thing. His film sparked a wave of interest in Nessie, and to this day, it's one of the most debated pieces of evidence. But not all sightings are so easily dismissed. In 2018, a man named On Ofad Hagain captured video of what appears to be a large serpentine creature moving through the water. The footage is clear, and experts have struggled to explain it away as a hoax or a misidentification. Could this be the best evidence yet of Nessie's existence? So, what could the Loch Ness Monster be? Over the years, experts and enthusiasts have proposed countless theories. Some say it's a plesiosaur, a prehistoric marine reptile that somehow survived extinction. Others believe it's a giant eel or a sturgeon, both of which are known to inhabit the loch. Then there are the more outlandish theories. Some believe Nessie is a ghost or a spirit, haunting the loch for reasons we can't understand. Others think it's a cryptid, a creature that science hasn't yet discovered. And of course, there are those who believe it's all just a hoax, a way to attract tourists to the Scottish Highlands. But here's the thing. No matter what the explanation, the legend of Nessie persists. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It's a mystery that refuses to be solved. Over the years, countless expeditions have been launched to find Nessie. Scientists, cryptozoologists, and amateur investigators have used everything from sonar to underwater cameras to try and capture proof of her existence. One of the most famous searches was Operation Deep Scan in 1987, using a fleet of boats equipped with sonar. The team scanned the entire loch, hoping to find evidence of a large creature. They did pick up some unexplained sonar contacts, but nothing conclusive. Still, the search reignited interest in Nessie and inspired a new generation of monster hunters. But despite all the technology and effort, Nessie remains elusive. Is she just too clever to be caught? Or is there nothing to catch at all? So, what's the truth about the Loch Ness Monster? Is she a prehistoric survivor, a giant eel, or just a legend born from our love of mystery? The answer is that we don't know, and maybe that's what makes her so captivating. The Loch Ness Monster forces us to confront the unknown, to wonder what might be lurking in the depths of our world, waiting to be discovered. One thing's for sure, the next time you're standing by a body of water, you might just find yourself scanning the surface, wondering if something is watching you from below. So, the next time you hear a splash in the water or see a ripple on the surface, remember Nessie, because in this world, some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the legend of the Loch Ness Monster, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And let me know in the comments, do you believe in Nessie? Or maybe you've heard a similar story. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Picture this. It's a quiet, moonlit night. You're driving down a deserted road, the trees casting long shadows across the asphalt. The radio crackles with static, and the only sound is the hum of your engine. But then, you hear it, a faint scrape, scrape, scrape against the side of your car. You glance in the rearview mirror, and your blood runs cold. Something, or someone, is clinging to your car, dragging a sharp, metal hook across the door. This is the legend of the HookMan, a tale that has terrified generations and left countless people wondering, is it just a story, or could it be real? Tonight, we're diving into the chilling origins, the bone-chilling encounters, and the unanswered questions surrounding the HookMan, and we're doing it in one shot. No cuts, no breaks, just you, me, and the darkness. But before we begin, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard the story of the HookMan? Or maybe you've even felt that eerie sensation of being watched on a lonely road? Tell me in the comments below. Because by the end of this video, you might just think twice before driving alone at night. The legend of the HookMan dates back to the 1950s, but its roots go even deeper. Some say it began as a cautionary tale told by parents to keep their teenagers from sneaking out at night. Others believe it's based on a true story, a gruesome murder that took place in a small rural town. According to the story, a mental patient escaped from a nearby asylum. He was described as a large, hulking man with a metal hook in place of one hand. The police searched for weeks, but he was never found. Then, the reports started coming in, drivers claiming they'd seen a figure lurking on the side of the road, his hook glinting in the moonlight. But the most famous version of the story involves a young couple parked on Lover's Lane. They heard a news bulletin warning of an escaped convict with a hook for a hand. The girl begged her boyfriend to leave, but he laughed it off until they heard a loud scrape against the car door. They sped away, only to find a bloody hook hanging from the door handle when they got home. Whether it's true or not, the story of the HookMan has become a staple of urban legends. But here's the thing. Over the years, people have reported encounters that are eerily similar to the tale, and that's where things get interesting. From the backroads of Texas to the forests of the Pacific Northwest, people have reported seeing the HookMan. Let me tell you about one of the most chilling encounters. In 1998, a truck driver named Carl was driving through rural Ohio late at night. He was on a long, empty stretch of road when he saw a figure standing under a streetlight. As he got closer, he noticed something was off. The man had no face, just a dark void where his features should be. And then Carl saw it. The glint of a metal hook where the man's hand should have been. Carl slammed on the gas, but when he looked in the rearview mirror, the figure was gone. Then there's the story of a woman named Lisa. She was driving home from work one night when she heard a loud thud on the roof of her car. She pulled over to check, but there was nothing there. When she got home, she found deep scratches on her car's roof. Scratches that looked like they were made by a metal hook. These stories are just the tip of the iceberg. Over the years, countless people have reported similar encounters, figures with hooks for hands, strange scraping sounds, and an overwhelming sense of dread. But here's the question. Are these stories just urban legends, or is there something more to them? So, what's really going on with the HookMan? Over the years, experts and skeptics alike have proposed countless theories. Some say it's a ghost, the spirit of a man who died tragically and now haunts the roads where he was killed. Others believe it's a cryptid, a creature that's not quite human, lurking in the shadows and preying on unsuspecting travelers. Then there are those who think it's a psychological phenomenon, a manifestation of our deepest fears, brought to life by the isolation and darkness of the road. But here's the thing. No matter what the explanation, the stories persist. And that's what makes the HookMan so terrifying. It's a legend that refuses to die. What's the truth about the HookMan? Is he a ghost, a cryptid, or just a figment of our imagination? The answer is that we don't know, and maybe that's what makes him so terrifying. The HookMan forces us to confront our deepest fears, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the dark, and the fear of what might be lurking just out of sight. One thing's for sure, the next time you're driving down a lonely road at night, you might want to keep your doors locked and your eyes on the rearview mirror. So, the next time you hear a strange sound outside your window or feel that eerie sensation of being watched, remember the HookMan, because in this world, some legends are more than just stories. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the legend of the HookMan, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And let me know in the comments, have you ever had an encounter with the HookMan? Or maybe you've heard a similar story. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Imagine this. It's a quiet night. The lights are off, and the only sound is the faint crackling of a candle. You and your friends gather around a table, your fingers lightly resting on a small, triangular piece of plastic. You ask a question, and suddenly, the piece begins to move. It spells out words, answers questions, and maybe, just maybe, it speaks to something beyond this world. This is the Ouija board, a game, a tool, or perhaps a doorway to the unknown. But here is the question. Is it just a harmless toy? Or is it something far more dangerous? Tonight, we're diving into the chilling history, the terrifying stories, and the unanswered questions surrounding the Ouija board. And we're doing it in one shot. No cuts, no breaks. Just you, me, and the mysteries of the spirit world. But before we begin, let me ask you this. Have you ever used a Ouija board? Or maybe you've heard stories about them? Tell me in the comments below, because by the end of this video, you might just think twice before calling out to the other side. The Ouija board, also known as a spirit board, has been around for over a century, but its origins are shrouded in mystery. The modern Ouija board was patented in 1890 by Ouija Board, but the idea of communicating with the dead dates back much further. Ancient cultures used similar tools, like the Chinese planchette writing or the European talking boards to contact spirits and seek guidance. In the late 19th century, spiritualism was all the rage. People were obsessed with the idea of communicating with the dead, and the Ouija board became a popular tool. But here's the thing. No one really knows how it works. Is it the spirits moving the planchette? Or is it our subconscious minds? Or is it something else entirely? During the height of its popularity, the Ouija board was marketed as a harmless parlor game. But it didn't take long for people to start reporting strange and unsettling experiences. Some claimed to communicate with loved ones who had passed away, while others said they encountered malevolent entities. The board's reputation quickly shifted from a fun game to something far more sinister. Over the years, the Ouija board has been linked to countless chilling stories. Some say it's a harmless game, but others swear it's a gateway to something darker. Let me tell you about one of the most famous cases, the Zozo demon. In the early 2000s, a man named Darren Evans began documenting his experiences with a Ouija board. At first it was harmless. He'd ask simple questions, and the board would respond. But then, the planchette started moving on its own, spelling out the name Zozo. Over time, the messages became more sinister. Darren claimed that Zozo was a malevolent entity that tormented him and his family. He even recorded his sessions, and the audio is unsettling, to say the least. But Darren isn't the only one who's encountered Zozo. Hundreds of people have reported similar experiences, claiming that the demon attaches itself to them, causing nightmares, poltergeist activity, and even physical harm. Is Zozo real? Or is it just a figment of our collective imagination? Either way, the stories are enough to send chills down your spine. Then there's the story of the Watsuka Wonder, a case from the late 1800s. A young girl named Lurk, Venom, claimed to be possessed by the spirit of a woman named Mary Roth, who had died years earlier. The possession began after Lurk and her friends used a Ouija board. For months, Lurk exhibited strange behavior, speaking in Mary's voice and recalling details of Mary's life that she couldn't possibly have known. The case remains one of the most well-documented instances of supposed spirit possession in history. Now, let's talk about the science behind the Ouija board. Psychologists have a term for what happens when people use it: the ideomotor effect. This is when our subconscious minds cause small, involuntary movements like the planchette moving across the board. In other words, it's not spirits moving the planchette, it's us. But here's where it gets interesting. Studies have shown that people who use Ouija boards often report experiences that can't be explained by the ideomotor effect alone. They hear voices, feel cold spots, or see objects move on their own. So, is there more to it than just psychology? Or are these experiences just tricks of the mind? Some researchers believe that the Ouija board taps into our collective unconscious, a part of our minds that holds memories, fears, and desires we're not even aware of. This could explain why so many people report similar experiences, like encountering the same entities or receiving the same messages. But even if the Ouija board is just a psychological tool, that doesn't make it any less fascinating or any less terrifying. Not everyone who uses a Ouija board has a terrifying experience. Some people swear it's helped them connect with loved ones who've passed away, but others aren't so lucky. Take the story of a woman named Sarah. She used a Ouija board with her friends one night, and at first, it was fun. But then, the planchette started moving violently, spelling out threats and curses. Sarah said she felt a presence in the room, a cold, heavy feeling that wouldn't go away. She stopped using the board, but the experiences didn't stop. She claimed to hear whispers in the dark and see shadows moving in her peripheral vision. To this day, she says she regrets ever touching the board. Then there's the story of a man named James. He used a Ouija board as a teenager, and at first, it seemed harmless. But then, the board started spelling out the name of his deceased grandmother. James was skeptical, but the board began revealing details about his grandmother's life that he had never shared with anyone. He became convinced that he was truly communicating with her. But then, the messages turned dark. The board claimed that his grandmother was trapped in a place of suffering, and that James needed to set her free. He stopped using the board, but he says he still feels her presence, as if she's watching him. Stories like Sarah's and James's are why many people warn against using Ouija boards. They say it's like opening a door, and you never know what might come through. So, what's the truth about the Ouija board? Is it a harmless game? A psychological tool? Or is it something far more dangerous? The answer is that we don't know. And maybe that's what makes it so terrifying. The Ouija board forces us to confront the unknown, to ask questions we might not be ready to answer. One thing's for sure, the Ouija board isn't just a piece of cardboard and plastic. It's a symbol of our fascination with the afterlife, our fear of the unknown, and our desire to connect with something beyond this world. But here's the question, is it worth the risk? So, the next time you see a Ouija board, ask yourself this: are you willing to take the chance? Because once you open that door, there's no telling what might come through. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries of the Ouija board, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And let me know in the comments, have you ever used a Ouija board? What happened? Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Picture this: you're deep in the heart of the wilderness, surrounded by towering trees and the eerie silence of nature. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, and every shadow seems to move. You're alone, or so you think. Suddenly, you hear it. A deep, guttural growl that sends shivers down your spine. You freeze, your heart pounding, and then you see it, a massive, shadowy figure moving through the trees. It's tall, it's powerful, and it's watching you. This is BigFOOT, the legendary creature that has haunted the forests of North America for centuries. Is it a myth, a hoax, or could it be real? Tonight, we're venturing into the unknown to uncover the truth behind BigFOOT. And we're doing it in one shot. No cuts, no breaks. Just you, me, and the mystery of the wild. But before we begin, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt that eerie sensation of being watched in the woods? Or maybe you've heard stories about Bigfoot? Tell me in the comments below, because by the end of this video, you might just find yourself questioning, what's really out there in the wilderness? The legend of Bigfoot isn't new. In fact, it's been part of human storytelling for centuries. Indigenous tribes across North America have long spoken of a creature they called Sasquatch, a towering, hairy being that roamed the forests. To some, it was a protector of the land. To others, it was a warning to stay out of the wild. The Salish people of the Pacific Northwest described Sasquatch as a wild man of the woods, a creature that was both feared and respected. They told stories of encounters with the creature, describing its immense size, its piercing eyes, and its ability to vanish into the forest without a trace. These stories were passed down through generations, becoming a cornerstone of their cultural heritage. But the modern legend of Bigfoot really took off in the 1950s, when a series of mysterious footprints were discovered in Northern California. These weren't just any footprints, they were massive, measuring over 16 inches long and 7 inches wide. The media dubbed the creature Bigfoot, and the name stuck. But here's the thing, those footprints were just the beginning. Over the years, there have been thousands of reported sightings, each one adding to the mystery. Some say Bigfoot is a relic of the past, a creature that somehow survived extinction. Others believe it's a hoax, a way to attract tourists to remote areas. But what if the truth is something far more mysterious? From the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest to the remote mountains of the Appalachians, Bigfoot sightings have been reported all over North America. Let me tell you about some of the most chilling encounters. In 1967, two men named Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were riding horses in Bluff Creek, California, when they saw something that would change their lives forever. A large, hairy creature stepped out of the trees and walked across a clearing. Patterson managed to capture the moment on film, and the footage, known as the Patterson-Gimlin film, has become one of the most debated pieces of evidence in cryptozoology. Skeptics say it's a man in a suit, but others swear it's the real deal. Then there's the story of the Ape Canyon incident in 1924. A group of miners claimed they were attacked by a group of ape men in the mountains of Washington. The creatures reportedly threw rocks at their cabin and tried to break in. The miners fought them off, but the incident left them shaken and sparked a wave of Bigfoot sightings in the area. But not all encounters are so dramatic. In 2019, a hiker in British Columbia captured video of a large, dark figure moving through the trees. The footage is clear, and experts have struggled to explain it away as a hoax or a misidentification. Could this be the best evidence yet of Bigfoot's existence? So, what could Bigfoot be? Over the years, experts and enthusiasts have proposed countless theories. Some say it's a Gigantopithecus, a giant ape that supposedly went extinct thousands of years ago. Others believe it's a hominid, a close relative of humans that has managed to survive in remote areas. Then there are the more outlandish theories. Some believe Bigfoot is a spirit or a shapeshifter, appearing only to those who are meant to see it. Others think it's a cryptid, a creature that science hasn't yet discovered. And of course, there are those who believe it's all just a hoax, a way to attract tourists to remote areas. But here's the thing, no matter what the explanation, the legend of Bigfoot persists. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It's a mystery that refuses to be solved. Over the years, countless expeditions have been launched to find Bigfoot. Scientists, cryptozoologists, and amateur investigators have used everything from thermal cameras to DNA analysis to try and capture proof of his existence. One of the most famous searches was the Sierra Sounds expedition in the 1970s. Researchers recorded a series of eerie vocalizations in the Sierra Nevada mountains, sounds that some believe were made by Bigfoot. The recordings, known as the Sierra Sounds, are still debated to this day. But despite all the technology and effort, Bigfoot remains elusive. Is he just too clever to be caught? Or is there nothing to catch at all? What's the truth about Bigfoot? Is he a prehistoric survivor, a hominid, or just a legend born from our love of mystery? The answer is that we don't know. And maybe that's what makes him so captivating. Bigfoot forces us to confront the unknown, to wonder what might be lurking in the wild, waiting to be discovered. One thing's for sure, the next time you're deep in the woods, you might just find yourself scanning the trees, wondering if something is watching you from the shadows. So, the next time you hear a rustle in the bushes, or see a shadow moving in the trees, remember Bigfoot. Because, in this world, some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the legend of Bigfoot, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And let me know in the comments, do you believe in Bigfoot? Or maybe you've heard a similar story. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.